tomorrow, it is expected that Cameroonians will be heading to the polls for the October 12, 2025 presidential elections. The opposition is presenting over 12 candidates to confront the incumbent President Biya, who has been in office over 43 years. So much is at stake. The nation yearns not only for change, but also for peace. Now, looking at the current situation, what are the chances for any form of change? Is this election anything the youth should count on? Tonight, we have the legendary communication expert, Chinje, who happens to be a visiting scholar at the George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, to have a discussion with us. We will not only talk about the upcoming elections in Cameroon, we will examine the possibilities of change and the influence of the media in the status quo. In the course of the show, we will show calls and take calls from the public, of course, to have varied opinions, not just the ones we're having in the studio. Right after the break, exclusive sit down with Delhi will begin. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be right back. Don't touch the dial.
Just like an inch pin. Just like an inch pin.
Welcome to the studio, Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you very well. Sure.
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Yes.
Right.
Sure.
Welcome to the studio. It's always an honor to have you.
Thank you so much, Delhi. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much indeed.
Right. I mean, before we delve into the exchange we have for today, I want to commend your efforts to see that we have a seamless elections tomorrow. I want to salute your bravery. I know you've had so many critics. You've had a lot of concerns raised by the public. I know that you have had sleepless nights, but you're still here, heads held high, and very much willing to respond to every concerns that is brought to you by the public. I want to salute you, Daddy. I mean, I'm proud to call you Daddy.
Thank you.
And just so, I think he needs no introduction, okay? So there's a lot of things we'll be talking about today. There's a whole lot of questions coming from left, right, center. Matter of fact, Daddy, do you know that when we put out this communique of you coming on here, we literally had more than 100 questions for you. And I'm hoping that you can sit down to answer these questions. Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you once again. You're welcome. Right. So we had lots of questions. Just so I remind our followers, can you kindly share this video to as many groups and people as possible? Please, we have a call-in line, and the producer would be displaying that on the screen. You want to call, but of course, only when the lines have been opened, just so that you do not disrupt the live streaming. Thank you so much for connecting, and we are going to delve straight up into it's a lot of questions that we have to ask Danny today. Danny, let us start off with prior to this moment, the euphoria and every other thing that is happening. What was your initial thought about the political situation of Cameroon? I know a lot has changed right now, but initially, what were your thoughts about it?
Well, for me, Delhi, it all started when I went home to Cameroon last year in So, well, September and then October. And I spent time in the country and I was talking to people about next year, this year, 2025, and these very important elections. And I was saying that, well, we're going to be electing a new president for the first time. Who would be the choice of the people? I was saying this in Cameroon and everybody was looking at me. What are you talking about? I said, well, but next year we have presidential elections next year and we'll have a new president. It's historic. And I can guarantee you, nobody, I had to explain myself. Nobody seemed to understand what I was talking about. And then I said, but Mr. Biya will not be a candidate, so we'll have a new president. Everybody would open their eyes. What do you mean Mr. Biya will not be a candidate? I said, but you remember he'll be 93, so he cannot be running. So, I realized that nobody was prepared for that. That was not part of the national conversation. And I had to say, but we can't be going into a year like this and clearly this man is not going to be a candidate. So what do you mean? How come Cameroonians are not talking about it and trying to figure out who they should be looking for to recruit as the next chief executive of Enterprise Cameroon? That was my thinking. So when I realized that nobody was engaging in this discussion and nobody seemed to be willing to engage in this discussion, I went on television. I was interviewed by a number of TV stations, and I asked the question, and I said no, but Mr. Biya cannot be a candidate anymore. And I said this enough times to get the attention of the leaders of the country, and to my dismay, I realized that they were very angry about it. Instead of saying this is a teaching moment, even if Mr. Biya wanted to be a candidate, it's a moment we're in a democracy. And I realized, no, in the end, I realized we are not. So that was the first thing for me. The second thing for me was to question myself, why is the media in Cameroon not setting the agenda in this? Why is the media not ahead of the game and asking the right questions about where we're going as a nation and who should be leading us? So I tried to engage with some journalists, and I realized that they were so far away from that prospect that nobody actually even wanted to talk about it. This is not a concern. This is back last year. So when I went back to the United States from Cameroon, I decided before leaving, I decided to initiate a study, a content analysis of media in Cameroon. And that's when I realized that we've got a serious problem. And I see there's an echo of my voice here. I don't know if it's helpful or not. But that's when I realized we had a problem. And when I got back to the States, I started working on a program to contribute to media engaging in that process. So that for me, that's where the elections started. And then, of course, a lot has happened since. I've been working on building capacity within the media in Cameroon. I've been working on a whole range of things. We'll talk about this. We'll talk about Project C, which we eventually created to support our efforts.
Amazing, Dr. Chinje. Yes, we're going to talk about the loads of work you have done so far. I mean, from the start to tomorrow, you've been busy. We'll get into that. But with over a dozen opposition candidates, is there a genuine sense that any single opposition figure or coalition would, pose a significant challenge to the incumbent?
Let me say this. If you ask the wrong questions, you'll get the wrong answers. If you develop the wrong strategy, of course, you'll lose the war. So you've got to figure out what exactly you want. That's the first thing. And then you develop the appropriate strategy to get to your objective, to what you want. And I think a lot of mistakes have been made in Cameroon. That's okay. But my hope is that we're learning in the process. I think we will have a new president in Cameroon before the end of this, before January 1.
I think we lost Daddy there for a bit. We're having a bit of a glitch. But that's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, just about time we get to share this video, okay? We are just starting. I'm not sure if it's back. We're just starting, and this conversation promises to be really exclusive. Now, I know that you're boiling with so many questions, but please keep your questions until later, until you see that number, WhatsApp number displayed on your screen, so that you can, call in and pour out your heart, because we have a father, not just as a stakeholder, who is more than willing, to put things right and to respond to every concerns from every Cameroonian at this very crucial moment. I guess we're going to take a break at this moment while we wait for him to fix whatever it is that has to be fixed on his part, and we'll be right back.
I don't think I'm controversial. I'm not controversial in any way. People see me as controversial.
I'd love to single out one or two of those as we delve further. However, let's talk about some of your outings in the media that you have come out. And quite frankly, it didn't sit out with so many people, and it's rooted in your 80-20 movement.
I did a comedy skit that made Samuel Tofis laugh, and it is not sharing. That is, they downloaded it from Facebook and uploaded it in his Facebook.
I saw that.
Both Facebook and Instagram.
Yes,
and Cristiano Ronaldo commented on it.
Oh, he did?
Yes. When Kamif started, Agbo Gibet is my friend. He can testify. Every night of Kamif, I was coming to Kamif. I don't come with money, I'm coming with 500,000.
Let me ask this. Do you think you're a controversial figure?
When a car is having a fall, like there is a technical fault, the carburetor is blocking, it cannot work well. A truth that is with evidence can never be a controversy.
Okay.
So I don't like when you say you are controversial, because I'm tempted to ask you to explain to me what is the meaning of controversy. Yeah.
Rumor has it that you have been so controversial, and a lot of stakeholders in the industry have distanced themselves away from you, and hence they don't see you at functions, they do not see you at outings that are very important, and especially for a personality like you, that people would love to have you grace the event. You are not there, you're always absent, not necessarily because you want to be absent, but because they've sent you away from those events.
Now, if the people who are benefiting
with MoneyFX, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
Joyful journey in the daily Singah show, where stories come alive, voices strong and clear, reaching for the sky. From the motherland to every distant shore, bridging gaps and building bridges, opening every door, connecting hearts and minds, a tapestry so bright, igniting conversation, shining truth and light. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite, feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, culture in full bloom. The Delhi Singah chasing away the gloom. Afrobeat drums kicking, vibrant and rhythmic, dance to the sound that keeps our spirits shifting. Memories of laughter echoes through the night. Family and friends gather round and everything feels right. From the heart of Africa to the stars above, spreading joy and unity, let the world feel love. In the pulse of the city, the spirit intertwines. Every step we take is like poetry and rhyme. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite. Feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, culture in full bloom. The Delhi Singah Show, chasing away the gloom. Heal the wounds, inspire the dreams, unite us as one. Underneath the African sun, our journey's just begun. Let the stories flow like rivers, strong and deep and wide, carrying love and hope on every rising tide. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite. Feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, culture in full bloom. The Delhi Singah Show, chasing away the gloom. Ooh, feel the energy flowing free and strong. The Delhi Singah Show, where we all belong. Let the rhythms fill the air, join the vibrant throng. The Delhi Singah Show, where we all belong. The Delhi Singah Show, where we all belong.
Oh, wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to apologize for that glitch. Thank you so much, Daddy, for coming back on here. I know that you have been so tired, but you still find, this time to come
Thank
sit
you.
with
Thank
us.
you.
Wherever
Totally.
you are, you. And thank you so much for the patience. Right, just before we had a glitch, I did ask the chances that the opposition has over the incumbent. You were talking and then we had a glitch. If you could just take it all over just so that we can get a full coverage of everything you said, please.
Okay, so can you ask the question again?
The chance of, with over, 12 opposition candidates, is there a genuine chance that the incumbent, they can check the incumbent and we are having the win and history that we are expecting tomorrow?
Yes. Thank you very much, Dali, for the question. And certainly, again, thank you for having me here on this very important occasion. I think we're going into historic elections in Cameroon on Sunday, the 12th of October, which is tomorrow. And I think, we should all, Cameroonians, be geared up for such a moment, because it's going to be, in my view, a fundamental turning point in the history of the country. Now, your question is, what are the chances of the opposition succeeding in, if you like, taking the current regime out of power? And my answer is fairly simple and straightforward. I think if Cameroonians want it, they can make it happen. If there is enough of the energy in that country for change, if the demand for change is that energetic, we will make it happen. And I believe that the ingredients are in place. I believe the need for change is so strong that I do not, it's almost like sweeping through that country with the power of a tsunami. And I don't see how they will stop it. So you ask me what the chances are. I think they're as good as they've ever been. Because for the first time, we're going to be electing a president we want. We're going to be electing a president who's not imposed on us. We've had two good men for president. We've had Amadu Ahijo, who built a nation with what he could, what he had, with all his limitations and all his strength. Ahijo established the basis of a country. Then Mr. Biya came. With all his limitations and his strengths, he gave what he could to the country. But he was there for 43 years. And after such a long reign, what we eventually found ourselves with a systemic challenge, because he had built a system that no longer responded to the demands of the time. So Cameroonians woke up and said, even those who really would rather keep Mr. Biya, they had to recognize the fact that the country needed something different, a new direction, a rejuvenation of its institutions. We needed an economy that created jobs. We needed to build infrastructure. We needed to revive our agriculture, to industrialize the economy, and so on. So there are lots of things that were needed that even the ordinary man on the streets came to recognize the fact that no, this country is moving in the wrong direction, and Cameroon is moving in the wrong direction. Tomorrow is our chance. Sunday, the 12th of October, is the chance we have to change direction, bring in new ideas that systems have a tendency of rejecting. When you've built a system over 4 decades, there's a tendency to reject new ideas. So hopefully, after tomorrow, we'll see a fresh wind blow over Cameroon and new ideas start coming in to change the trajectory of our country.
I love the enthusiasm with which you speak. I love the conviction that you have regarding this, and I'm happy that a lot of Cameroonians are listening to us at the eve of this history-making moment. Let's get into some of the things. I know you're not a politician, but it's a whole lot of politics that is happening right now.
Yep.
So we might as well touch some of it.
Yep.
In 2024, you did call for the voting of an Anglophone president, and now we are getting to see you endorse someone completely different, I would say. For the sake of clarity, are you endorsing Isa Chuma, or it is just the voice of the people? And if that's the case, what has happened to the other Anglophone brothers that one would say would expect you to be behind at this point in time?
Well, thank you very much for such a good question. And let me answer it as best I can. First of all, politics is a game of adaptation. We live in a world where we're in constant motion. Nothing stays the same over time. Things evolve, they change, and good politics is a game of adaptation. Now, I am in Cameroon in 2024, and we begin the discussion about elections in 2025. We all are aware of the failings of the system, of the nation as it was. And in discussion after discussion, initially, we're talking about this with friends and friends in leadership circles in Cameroon. And we all came to the common understanding that the country needed a change in direction. But what direction?
What direction?
that we asked ourselves, what should be the direction in which the country goes? And increasingly, my friends and I were saying we need to maybe, this is a country that's been blessed with two cultural systems. One based on the Anglophone culture or English culture, the other French. And my friends and I were saying, well, we've been in the French system for 4 decades, for 6 decades. Why not try a system based on English culture? That's what took me and others to that point. So we said, well, maybe in the upcoming elections, we need to look at an Anglophone candidate or someone out of the Anglophone culture. That's what we thought. And this would hopefully lead us to not only adapting our governance systems, base them on this English culture, go back to what we used to look at. Some of the ideas that would emerge would come from what used to be West Cameroon, the English-speaking part of Cameroon. Maybe it's time to do a deep dive, see what comes out of that, and try to adapt it to the rest of the country. Because clearly, the French-based system had failed us after 6 decades. So that was the reasoning behind that. And as I say, politics is a game of adaptation. We eventually, with time, as I said earlier before we had the technical hitch, I realized that nobody was actually talking about the 2025 elections, at least not at the level of ideas and programs. I realized that. So I went on television in Cameroon and in my interviews I gave to insist on the need for us to talk about those things. I realized journalists were part of the problem. They were not talking about it. They're not willing to talk about it. Some said they didn't have, especially the younger journalists told me, oh, we cannot, they won't let us do it. So I did a number of things, Delhi. I went back to the United States after my stay in the country. And I had done, prior to leaving, I had started doing a content analysis of media content in Cameroon. And I realized a lot of things that were missing from that content. There was this inordinate preoccupation with tribalism. And I realized I linked it directly to the emergence of a candidate that the powers that be did not want. So instead of taking on Professor Maurice Kamto directly, they started off condemning his tribal origins. And the focus in the media was the anti-Bamileke, had an anti-Bamileke focus. That's, and I was telling everybody, but that's not the issue. This country has other issues. Bring those issues out. But journalists didn't understand it. They're being manipulated by the powers that, So I came back and I did a number of things. One, I thought about, I kind of identified what was missing in the public discourse in Cameroon. I identified all of that. And I wrote to every journalist, and I literally, to all the major reporters in Cameroon and correspondents, I literally wrote to them saying, sorry about that. Sorry. I literally, can you hear me? Yes. I literally wrote, yes. So I wrote to journalists about their role in a democracy. That letter is, now I wrote to them about their role in a democracy, about their agenda.
Yet another glitch there. I'm hoping, we're all hoping. The conversation is just starting. We're hoping that he gets again to come back on screen and, of course, complete that interesting conversation on there. May I use this opportunity to remind each and every one of you watching to please share this video to as many groups as possible. Tag your friends to come in here. We're about to make history. Cameroonians all around the world. This is a father who is speaking to his children at the eve of that moment. He's very open to answering every question and concerns that we have raised. He's been going to different media outlets to talk about the elections and all whatnot. I'm hoping that he gets back on here and keep on with the conversation. But before he comes back, please do well to share this video. Get your questions ready. I'm hoping that the producer will put up the WhatsApp contact so you can call in when it's about that time, because we're not taking calls yet. Okay, so we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, don't touch the dial.
With MoneyFX, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
Joyful journey in the daily Singah show, where stories come alive, voices strong and clear, reaching for the sky. From the motherland to every distant shore, bridging gaps and building bridges, opening every door, connecting hearts and minds, a tapestry so bright, igniting conversation, shining truth and light. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite, feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, culture in full bloom. The Daily Singah Show, chasing away the gloom. Afrobeat, drums kicking, vibrant and rhythmic, dance to the sound that keeps our spirits shifting. Memories of laughter echoes through the night. Family and friends gather round and everything feels right. From the heart of Africa to the stars above, spreading joy and unity, let the world feel love. In the pulse of the city, the spirit intertwines. Every step we take is like poetry and rhyme. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite, feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, chasing away the gloom. Ooh, feel the energy flowing free and strong. The Daily Singer Show, where we all belong. Let the rhythms fill the air, join the vibrant throng. The Daily Singer Show, where we all belong. The Daily Singer Show, where we all belong.
With MoneyFX, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
Journey in the Daily Singer Show, where stories come alive, voices strong and clear, reaching for the sky. From the motherland to every distant shore, bridging gaps and building bridges, opening every door, connecting hearts and minds, a tapestry so bright, igniting conversation, shining truth and light. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite, feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, culture in full bloom. The Daily Singer Show, chasing away the gloom. Afrobeat, drums kicking, vibrant and rhythmic, dance to the sound that keeps our spirits shifting. Memories of laughter echoes through the night. Family and friends gather round and everything feels right. From the heart of Africa to the stars above, spreading joy and unity, let the world feel love. In the pulse of the city, the spirit intertwines. Every step we take is like poetry and rhyme. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite, feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, culture in full bloom. The Daily Singer Show, chasing away the gloom. Heal the wounds, inspire the dreams, unite us as one. Underneath the African sun, our journey's just begun. Let the stories flow like rivers, strong and deep and wide, carrying love and hope on every rising tide. Sing it loud, sing it proud.
Ladies and gentlemen, we do apologize for the technical glitch. I mean, these things do happen, and hopefully you would be patient enough to stay true to the end with us. There's a whole lot that we will be talking about today. I'm hoping that the Chinje's on side of the connection is fine now, and so he can get back on screen. Meanwhile, we have some commenters that I'd love to to give a shout out to. We have Abendong Dillis. Hello, Dillis. Thank you for connecting. We have Abuno Robson Ebo. Hello, Abuno Robson. It's good to have you. You said it's echoing. I'm hoping that the glitches have stopped. We have Chi Solange. Hello, Chi Solange. Said network issues. Yes, yes. I'm hoping that everything is all settled now. Reality time with Nurse Prudence. Hi, how are you, sister? It's good to have you. Sir Edwin D. Tangwe. Hello, Sir Edwin. It's good to have you. You can be anything podcast. Hello, sister. Yes, the director did something. I hope that you have good images and sound quality now. We have Opancho CY International in the building. Hello, Opancho. Rob B. Dumo. Yes, we have yeah, I think that these are the people we could see. Ayongwe Agnes. Hello, Agnes. How are you, sister? It's good to have you. So many women in the comments. I know that the men are watching from the background. And please, just to remind you to share this video. The conversation is just about us as part, okay? And yes, kindly share this video to as many persons. There's no limit to the number of times you can share. We are happy that Chinje signals he's there. And again, I have to take him back to the previous question just so that he can, answer to the boiling question. And, I mean, almost everybody's hearts. Danny, are you back? Can you hear me?
Yes, I hope so. Can you hear me?
Right. So yeah, we've had. We'll just take it from there. Okay. So
Okay.
from that, where you were talking about all the exploits you've done, you've been to Cameroon, you've negotiated, we're talking about the C and C and C. We're coming back now to Issa Chiruma, and straight up, did you endorse Issa Chiruma, or is just one of those things in the media that can go, I mean, left from whatever is actually happening? Or you did not? And if you did, why is the likes of Joshua OC, Akere Muna, that we are expecting, we were hoping that, I mean, given the situation, given who you are, your origin, your background, I mean, it's only fair that you endorse a brother. Then we're seeing you rally behind Issa Chiruma Bakari with so much force. Why is that? I think a lot of Cameroonians would love to hear that before we delve into much more maybe challenging or interesting issues. Thank you for coming back.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Deli. I hope you can hear me well. Deli, can you hear me?
I can hear you, that it's a bit low. I'm not sure if it's from my end. Maybe the commenters could let us know if that you hear that Chinje, please.
It's definitely coming from your end because I think I can hear myself very well.
You're fine. We're good. Yes, you go on. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, so thank you for the question. Let me create some context, in providing my answer. First of all, Joshua OC is like a younger brother to me. I love him to bits. So I would naturally support Josh. Akere Muna is a brother to me. We from childhood. We've known each other for easily 50 years or more.
Right.
So I would naturally also be inclined to support him. I'll get to my answer about Issa Chiroma in a minute.
We're boiling to hear that.
Yes. But this is the context I'm trying to establish here. So, two of my very good friends, Joshua OC, good friend, younger brother, Akere Muna, childhood friend, even talking about Anglophones, the very young Ateki Seta, who's a third English-speaking candidate in the mix. Talk to him, great young gentleman, the future. I see him as the president of, Cameroon one day. But I didn't endorse these people, these three English-speaking friends. You know why? First of all, this is about Cameroon. My primary concern is Cameroon. My other concern is because growing out of my concern for Cameroon, my other concern is getting rid of the CPDM. Not, and I say the CPDM as a party. There are lots of great men and women in that party that I would love, I hope, would continue to stay there and can make their contributions to the country. But the CPDM as political instrument of governance has failed. If anybody says the contrary, then they either do not live in Cameroon or they have a warped measure of success. What is success in the development of a nation? So the CPDM has failed us. Cameroon is no longer the respected nation internationally that it always was for a long, long time. I travel abroad, you travel abroad, hordes of Cameroonians go around. We've gone from being the country that everybody admired to being one of the laughing stocks of Africa. How can I as a Cameroonian accept that? I cannot. We've gone from an economy that was admired. I've been reading literature, past analysis. I worked in the World Bank for many, many years. I was looking at reports of the 70s and the 80s, early 80s especially, on Cameroon. And you could tell that this country was universally admired. Those institutions believed that if one African country was going to emerge out of poverty into the industrial age, it would have to be Cameroon. Cameroon would have to be one of them. Cameroon has not. We've gone down the drain. Look, a measure, if nothing else, and a measure of how well a country is doing is evident in its political capital, and if it has an economic capital, like many countries tend to have. A measure of success is coming into those places and wanting to be there, to be a part of it, enjoying the place, admiring the place. If you go into Kigali, you'd admire Rwanda. Why? Because Kigali has come out of, the woodworks to be a shining star in Africa. If you go even to N'Djamena, which had been devastated by years of war and instability, go to N'Djamena. N'Djamena is a much better city than Yaoundé, than Douala today, because of the infrastructure they've built. So, how did this happen? Look, anybody in Cameroon who does not admit that this system has failed, or either does not like the country, or just wants to protect their interests. So I see a handful of people in Cameroon who have all the resources, access to the nation's resources. They are the ones and they're using that money to keep their hold on the country. And I don't support that. And they've contributed to the failure of the system. So, so I look at it and I say, this system has to go. For the system to go, the CPDM has to be replaced. The ruling party has to be replaced. And I didn't see either my friend Akere Muna or my friend Joshua Osi or my young brother Ateki as the channels for the people who succeed in bringing about change. I did not even see Mr. Issa Chiroma coming. As a matter of fact, when I got involved in the whole political movement in the country, even though Issa Chiroma is a friend of mine, even though Issa Chiroma is someone I've worked with and come to respect, my natural inclination was Buba Bello. And I started actually working with Buba Bello. But then the reality, the reality of politics, as I say, politics is a game of adaptation. I quickly realized that the person with the energy, the human connections, the ability to stir these emotions, the sentiments for change, the one person who has that ability in Cameroon today is Issa Chiroma. So I'm with Issa Chiroma. If you want to know the story around my endorsement, that's a whole different story. But I'm with Issa Chiroma, and I hope he makes it.
You heard it directly. So this is not corner side news. This is directly from David Chinje endorsing Issa Chiroma. Matter of fact,
Well,
saying that
you want to talk about
this is.
you want us to talk about the endorsement?
I mean the endorsement because I think I've heard you say it is people make these things up. Yeah, he scores more points with you, but you've not outrightly say that you're endorsing him. So I wanted to be
Well,
sure: is that an endorsement
yes,
now? Is it official now that okay? I might as well go ahead
yes,
and endorse him on TV at this
yes.
very
Let me
crucial moment.
yes, let me do that endorsement here. I endorse Issa Chiroma for president, and for him to be the third president of the Republic of Cameroon. Now, the announcement has been made about my endorsement. It was announced over a week ago. Do you know why? It didn't come from me. I was asked a question I was doing a program with Mimi Mefo, and I was asked to introduce two people. During that program, we had to talk about the candidates, and I was asked to introduce two people. And I introduced Mr. Paul Biya, and part of introducing these people had to do with what do you know about them that the rest of the public doesn't know. So I
I guess you
introduced
went and
Mr. Paul
gave
Biya.
these points that.
So yeah, so I introduced Mr. Biya, and I said what some people may not know. I said Mr. Paul Biya is one of the least corrupt African leaders. Mr. Paul Biya is one of the least corrupt African leaders who has somehow presided over one of the most corrupt African countries. That's what I found to say about Mr. Biya, which is true. The least corrupt African leader, which is true, presided over one of the most corrupt African countries, which also is true. Now, with regard to Mr. Issa Chiroma, this is what I said. He is one of the most patriotic amongst our house of politicians, amongst the political leaders in the country. He's one of the most patriotic, humble, and is a man of integrity who respects his words. When he makes a commitment, he keeps it. That's what I said. I'm paraphrasing about Mr. Chiroma. So I emphasized his humility. I emphasized his sense of patriotism. I emphasized his integrity, the fact that he keeps his word. And of course, this shocked quite a few. Somebody who heard it immediately said, "Oh, Eric Chinje has endorsed Issa Chiroma." And before I knew it, amongst the many people who wrote about that was my friend, my young friend, Beris Berthold, who didn't even call me. He could have called to find out from me. He didn't. He went on to say, after long reflection and blah, 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 Eric Chinje has endorsed Issa Chiroma. Fine. I thought, okay, if that's how God wanted this endorsement to come out, so be it. And it happened at a time when I was really inclined to endorse him. So I didn't. Some people called me and said, "Okay, if you didn't endorse him, why don't you write a disclaimer?" I said, "No. Yes." So now on your program is the first time I am fully, consciously meaningfully endorsing Issa Chiroma for president of Cameroon.
Wow, wow, wow. I'd love to see what the commenters are saying. I've been waiting to hear from you directly so that I don't propagate false news. I mean, it's official
Yes.
that it endorsed this.
Glad
I
you
mean, at
did
this
that.
very right, Issa Chiroma as next president of Cameroon. Yes, it's a whole lot you said regarding especially the Issa Chiroma.
Mm.
So many people of the opinion, I mean, the trust issues that we have regarding this candidate that you just endorsed. The fact that he has been one of those who, I mean, we've critiqued, we've criticized, we've complained about, to a greater extent, constituted, I mean, a significant part of the issues that we have faced, and especially as English Cameroonians, I would say that. What don't you think? It does not sit well when you say he's a man of integrity. How do you balance integrity and everything you and I know about him in the past, and those listening caught between voting for him or not voting for him, and all of those the things that I mean surround him. I'd love for you to
Yes.
really clarify us on that because it's quite important.
Excellent question, and I'll do that happily. Again, let me provide some context. I don't think if we're looking for Jesus, we won't find him in the Cameroonian political leadership circle, right? So we're dealing here with a bunch of men and women who are frail, who have their human frailties. Not one of them is a perfect person. So we have to work with the cards we have. Those are the cards we've been dealt by nature, by the divine, and that's who we have to work with. So let's not play holier than thou. We shouldn't. Now, let me go back to Mr. Chiroma. As I said, I've known Mr. Chiroma for close to 30 years. I knew him, I came into contact with him close to 30 years ago when he was in the opposition. That was the first contact. And at the time, he was clearly the voice of the North, of what we call the Grand North. You know, the three regions, what became the Adamawa, the North, and the Far North. Mr. Chiroma was the voice of the Grand North. And he wrote, and the things he wrote and said were just, they amazed me, and the quality of his arguments about how much that region of the country had been abandoned. And this was prior to Boko Haram coming into Cameroon. We had created the environment for that to happen. And Issa Chiroma wrote all of this, and I was so amazed. I wanted to meet the man. I happened to have been in Cameroon. So I went and I looked for him, met with him, and we had during my stay in Cameroon, we had a number of interactions. And I came to respect the quality of his mind over everything else. And then in 2004, I was in Cameroon. We had the elections coming up, and there was a lot of talk, 2003, 2004, there was a lot of talk about having a single opposition candidate. Mr. Chiroma was in a good position to vie for that position of the single candidate of the opposition. He was in a good place. He represented the North, the three regions of the North. And he could, with some measure of authenticity, try to claim that position of the single candidate of the opposition. Now, Mr. Chiroma, instead of pushing his own candidacy, he decided to to work with the other political parties to help to work together to identify a single candidate. And I was here, I happened to have been home during those months and played and was very engaged with the opposition leaders at the time. The top leader at the time was John Frundi. So there was him, there was Adamu Damjoya, there was, again, Issa Chiroma, all of these guys, Nijan Frundi, Issa Chiroma, Adamu Damjoya, and a host of others were the opposition leaders of the day. And I saw, since I happened to have been back home in the lead up to the presidential elections, I followed very closely what was going on and who was playing what role and all of that. And it turned out, I thought Mr. Chiroma, he would lay claim to that single candidacy. But what he did was actually facilitate the process of identifying a leader. And he was instrumental in developing the set of criteria that were used to arrive at a single candidate in 2004. And when they got to that single candidate, it turned out to be Adamu Damjoya, not Nijan Frundi. And Nijan Frundi, when the process eventually led to Adamu Damjoya, not Frundi, Frundi walked out of the whole thing. And the opposition ended up never having a single candidate. And Nijan Frundi told me that the reason he didn't agree at the end of that process was that he felt very strongly, and he was correct, that he was the most popular of the candidates. But going by the process that they all had agreed to, it ended up becoming Damjoya, not Frundi. And Frundi said no, he couldn't accept it because he felt he was more popular and he should have been that candidate. So that's where we were in 2004, and I saw Issa Chiroma hold back his own ambitions to look at what was best for the country. And again, I saw a side of the man that I had a lot of respect for. When that failed, when that exercise failed of coming up with a single candidate in 2004, Issa Chiroma was so disappointed that he stood up and said, well, he realizes this opposition is not ready to lead the country in a different direction. And Issa Chiroma stood up, walked out of the opposition gathering, and went and offered his services to the government. In 2004, Issa Chiroma has stayed with the government. That's what happened. So, I've seen the man in the opposition, I saw him in government, and then when he came into government, he was given a position for which he was not really cut out. Because I remember seeing him after he joined government, and he was telling me, Eric, I don't know why they've appointed me to communications. I have no sense of what to do, but I will learn as I go along. So I saw again the humility in the man. I saw again his willingness to learn and his determination to make a contribution to the government he had just come into. You don't see that often with Cameroonian politicians, I can tell you. So I've had a lot of opportunity to see Issa from different sides. Some in the position in government as a communications person, Minister of Communications, telling me he wasn't sure that he knew what to do. Had the humility to say that, a minister. So for all of those reasons, I not only came to respect Issa Chiroma, but today I will endorse him for president any day.
It's heartfelt, Daddy. Thank you so much for pouring your heart so much. And I love that you say that boldly, confidently, and the history you've given, at least it gives a background knowledge for a lot of Cameroonians listening to you who obviously had their doubts. Daddy, it's a lot of Cameroonians listening right now, watching, who are still very skeptical. 1 foot in, 1 foot out, they have their voters card. They are not skeptical because they're not conscious of the change that we need or the peace that we need. They are more concerned about the instability, especially in the English part of Cameroon. As a father, first of all, before being a stakeholder listening, what would you tell such people? And especially, what guidance would you give them, given their concerns are legit? Going out to vote tomorrow might be the end of somebody's, life or so. And we are here clamoring for that. But these people are like, how do I do this? I want to do it. Now you sit there, they say abroad, and you endorse these things, you push us out there. We want to do it. But what guarantee is there that we are going to be covered? Again, as a father, what would you tell these people and any other person who might want to impede this process of history making tomorrow?
Thank you, Dali. You know, again, for contextual reasons, let me say this. Every nation gets the leadership it deserves. In many cases, it's not necessarily what we want, but it's what we deserve. And I think we'll have a leader in Cameroon, and it will be the leader we deserve. Maybe Mr. Biya survived for 43 years because that's what we're made of. It's the Cameroonian personality that came out. That has been in display for all the last 44 decades. And that's why we have the leadership we have. We have a president who clearly doesn't care much about the country. I think if Mr. Biya cared that much about Cameroon, he would have resolved the problems of the northwest and the southwest regions of the country. He would have. Can't tell me a small outbreak in 2017 could not have been contained and resolved by the Biya regime. They just never had the will to do it. Never had the political will to do it. So we find ourselves in the state in which this country is in, where we're at the cliff, and in many ways we've fallen over the cliff. We're now, we're into a state of national decay, and it's all of that we need to turn around, and I hope that we will. I don't, in our search for leadership, for new leaders, for new ideas on how to move Cameroon forward. That's really the challenge before us. I think we can either accept our circumstances and say that's the way it's meant to be, or we can wake up and do something about it. And the election gives us an opportunity. The election of a president gives us a wonderful opportunity to set a new course. To say there needs to be a rupture, a break, clean break with the past. There needs to be that, and we can make it happen. So I really hope that Cameroonians who are listening to us, Delhi, are telling themselves it can be done. And we have the opportunity of this election to go out there and bid farewell to Paul Biya. He no longer has the ideas to take this country out of the mess in which it is. None of, his ministers have settled in to a life of wealth and opportunity. That's it. They're not concerned about how do we turn this economy around. For the last 10 years at least, nothing, no new investments, no ability to create jobs, no willingness, it seems, to work for peace in Cameroon, to build infrastructure, to create jobs, to help bring, about the elements that would have a country industrialized. None of that. I think the election tomorrow, Delhi, the election on October 12th, is our opportunity to put Cameroon on a whole new course, a whole new trajectory. And that's what I'm hoping we'll be able to do.
It's always heartfelt. Thank you so much, Daddy. It's few
Thank
hours
you.
to 12, the 12th
Yes.
of October.
Yeah. October.
And we're very, and we've not seen this. I think in my growing up, me, John Frundi days, 1992, we've not had this euphoria for never.
No.
This is
No.
yes, this is the only thing close to that moment, and people want to do it.
Mhm.
Then what are
Yeah.
some of the measures? Those of you stakeholders spearheading this change have put in place to see that a repeat of history is not happening. Because what's the point if we have to galvanize these people, talk about these things, go out there and still have elections rigged in front of us, and we are muted, you know?
Yeah.
What is it? What
Okay.
is the change
Yeah.
from the last time
Yeah.
to now? What has been the upgrade in the system, in the
Yes, I think that's
software?
really, yes, this goes to the heart of your main concern, which is what's the point going to elections when the results are already known, or if they're not known,
That's
they're
the
going
part
to
in
be
average Cameroonian's mind right now. So
that's the mind of the average Cameroonian, and you're totally right. But let me say this: the demand for change, the desire for change, the ability to achieve change is there. We have all the elements to bring about change. And I am almost certain that change will come about whether people in leadership like it or not. It will happen. I just cannot tell you how it will come about, but I'm a very spiritual person, Delhi. I believe that there'll be divine intervention in this, and this country will find itself back on track and becoming the country that it deserves to be. So, if you ask me, are they going to rig rig the results of the elections? They might try to, but I can guarantee you, it's not going to be the same this time around as it was in '92 when Frundi won and was not declared the winner. You were probably just, you were just born around then, Delhi. So I can understand if you can't remember these things. I, you know, but in '92, John Frundi won the election, and he was, not declared the winner. And everybody who was involved in that process has come out since to confess that yes, we know he won, but we couldn't accept it. In 2018, we're not sure that Kamto won. He declared that he won. He said he won. We're not sure that he did, but Kamto did not get the results he deserved to get in 2018. And again, Frundi was put in house arrest. Kamto, who either came close to winning or won, was thrown into jail. I went to see Kamto in jail. Now, twice in a row, when Cameroonians have gone out to choose a president of their own making, a president they want, because we've never had a president of our choosing. Ahijog was not chosen by us. Paul Biya was not chosen by us. So in '92, we had the chance to have a president of our own choosing. We didn't have it. 2018, we came close to having it. We didn't have it. And both times, one ended up under house arrest and the other ended up in jail. let me say this. We've learned our lessons. We've learned our lessons. If the first time, happenstance, you could say. The second time, maybe enemy action. The third time, if it happens, we're stupid. And Cameroonians are not stupid. I hope you hear me, Delhi. Cameroonians are not stupid. And
I hear you, Daddy. I hear you.
that, yeah, this would be third time lucky. We will vote in the man we want. Could have been the woman, why not? But as based on where things are today on the eve of the elections, I think it'll be a man. And we will vote in the man we want. And this time around, hear it from me. If those who want to stop the wheel of history from turning, we will break them than allow them to break the country. This is not a threat. No, I'm not powerful enough to threaten anybody. It's an appeal, if anything, to them. Not to do what they are setting out to do is a wrong thing. So I'm appealing to all the administrative officials, the prefects, they call them, the divisional officers, the DOs. I'm appealing to them. Do stand on the right side of history. Do the right thing by Cameroon. Allow the votes to be counted as they will, and send the results of the polls to Yaoundé. That's my appeal to them. That's my appeal to all those who would be in charge of polling, who would be at the polling stations. Stand on the right side of history. Do what is right for Cameroon. And I'm appealing to them. And everybody along that chain. We all know that every Cameroonian loves his country. And the people who love their country more than themselves want change. Because the country is in a state of crisis. I am not the one saying it. Every indication of all the indicators of progress are negative. I'm not the one saying it, Delhi. We're all saying it. The institutions that oversee development across the world, they're all saying it. The African Development Bank, the World Bank, the IMF, the European Development Bank, all of these institutions that measure progress across the world, they all are saying it. They all cannot be wrong. They all cannot hate Cameroon. So there's a problem in our country, and you cannot tell me that Cameroonians who love their country, except those who have access to the wealth of that country, you cannot tell me that they're all wrong. And I've seen people, they've been given 2,000 francs or 10,000 francs to go and vote for this regime. Let me tell them, you're part of, if you accept a bribe, then you're part of the crime of bribery. They're being bribed. And if they thought they had done a good job, they will not need to bribe people to vote for them. That is the truth of what's happening in Cameroon. So let's get it right. Let's give that country a break. It will be, if Cameroon works, it will work for all of us, all 30 million of us. Right now, that country is working for a handful of people. And the handful get millions, and they take out of the millions enough to buy sardine and bread to give people. That is criminal. Yes?
Heartfelt as ever. Thank you so much, Daddy Chinje there. And that was felt in our bones. I mean, you said something that quite resonates with me. It's about posterity. And if you are having any position of change as far as this is concerned, this history-making moment. He wants to be on the right side of that history. So,
Right.
thank you so much, Daddy.
Absolutely.
For those of you listening,
Thank you.
just a reminder, we're still into the conversation, and we're hoping that we start taking calls soon. We still want to talk to Daddy, ask him things that pertains to him exactly. I mean, directly, as far as media especially is concerned. But of course, we'll wrap it up or garnish it with a bit of what is happening in the media as far as the elections are concerned. So please, kindly, again, share this video. Bomb hearts. It's been long we said that, right? Yeah, share to your friends, as many of them as possible. Guard your questions. Daddy Chinje is here to respond to it. When we come back, we'll delve straight into what the role the media has to play as far as this political atmosphere is concerned. Don't touch that.
With MoneyFX, sending money home just got faster. Enjoy top exchange rates, low fees, and transfers that land in under 10 minutes. Whether it's school fees in Cameroon, hospital bills in Nigeria, or family support in Ghana, MoneyFX makes every transfer count. MoneyFX, fast money transfer when it matters most.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for staying up through to this moment. We are still talking to the legendary Eric Chinje, a communications expert. He wears so many hats, but today he sits here and talks to us in the capacity of a father and a stakeholder as far as this history-making moment in Cameroon is concerned. He has gone from, endorsing a candidate. He's talked about his work in Cameroon. He's talked to the people who matter as far as these elections are concerned. We would be getting up close and personal into that aspect that pertains directly to him, that touches him quite, deep. The media, the role the media has to play in all of this. But before we get into that, please, I'd love to read some of the comments here. I have a comment from Cam Marcel. Cam Marcel is saying, "Thank you so much, sir. You are just direct and not threatening anyone. It is a year of liberation. 12 apostles, 12 tribes of Israel, with Moses liberating them." Interesting one. We have a comment there from Reverend Jesse Song. Reverend Jesse Song is saying, "Interesting perspective." And Dove Sandra, hello Dove Sandra. That's like, a top fan of Delhi TV. We appreciate you always. The program is awesome. Thank you, Daddy, for this wonderful insight. And she goes further to say, "Mr. Eric Chinje's insights on the role of media and the perspective for real change in Cameroon are just spot on. The Singah is truly steering this conversation with class and intelligence. So proud of Delhi TV for bringing such a meaningful conversation to the table." Thank you so much, Toby Sandra. We appreciate you as well. We have a Bendom Dillis saying, "Thank you so much, Daddy. A true leader you are." That is from a young way Agnes Andong. Dr. Success in Komor is in here saying, "Mommy Daddy, forget about what some people know about Chiruma only on social media, but don't know him in person. Chiruma is an exceptional man, a man of his words, loyal and faithful man to he has human sympathy, and he's an open-minded person, humble and down to earth. He will be one of the best presidents of Cameroon. Chiruma has zero negative past, as in zero, except for the one that is in some irrational mind that does not exist in reality." Ooh, that was quite intense. Thank you so much, Dr. Success Gogo. You're clearly endorsing your own candidate. Of course, you have rights to that. We have a young way Agnes saying, "Bam," meaning spot on. Go Emanuela is hands clapping. And there's a whole lot of you out there. Please keep your comments coming in. We would project them, we would read them. And hey, we know that you have a lot of boiling concerns and questions in your heart. Hey, just be patient, okay? Let's take some more questions from our Daddy Chinje, and then, yeah, we can move over to, more. The next question I'd love to ask is beyond the electoral process, which part exactly would you say could potentially bring about change in Cameroon? The social, the political, the economic side of Cameroon. Which one are you looking at? Change gravitating towards more. Beyond this euphoria we are having at the moment.
Well, thank you again, Deli. All change,
Institutional change. Yeah.
yes, all change will come through leadership with a vision. Leadership with a vision. That's where change has to begin. If we can't find leaders with a vision, it's almost impossible to have change. And just before I get to my answer, I want to say hi to Success in Congo, whom I've followed occasionally. I'm happy to know that he's with us. So we need that to get the process going. We need leadership with a vision. The problem is Mr. Biya has governed Cameroon without a vision. What is the vision of this president? I like him personally. And I know the president of Cameroon likes me. I know it. I'm saying it here because, all of the people to whom he has talked about me live. They're still around in Cameroon. So at the human level, I like Mr. Biya. The kinds of he's very, empathetic towards me and all of that. But we're talking about the country here. And one thing I happen to know is that he has no vision for the country. Back in 83, he had a vision. He had a clear sense. A vision is a direction you want to go, it's an objective you set into the future. And then you carve the path to that objective. Mr. Biya in 1983 had the vision of a country that was democratic, that was open to new ideas, that would be industrialized by a certain time. He gave a deadline, 2035. But that was the end of it. He never then developed the path to that vision. So he provided no leadership, has not provided any leadership towards any clear vision. 2035 became a slogan. That's all. So as I said, 2035 became a vision, and we've never really had one. So today we are like a ship in the ocean without a rudderless ship in the ocean, going in all directions based on how the wind moves it. Because today, the people who run the country cannot even agree on where it is going because they don't know where it is going. The Prime Minister, Mr. John Gute, would give anything he has to bring peace to that country, especially peace in the northwest and southwest regions. I know that because John Gute is my friend. My mates, we're in school together. So I know his heart. He would do anything for peace in that country. But you know why he cannot? Because he doesn't have the powers to. He cannot agree with a guy called Ngongo Ferdinand or something like that. He cannot agree with him. Because there are people in that government who do not see the Anglophone problem or the problem in those two regions as a priority. And they continue to believe that it's not a political problem, it's one that can be resolved militarily. In your own country, you use the military, the hardware of the army, to bring about peace. Peace that can be negotiated. Peace that can be resolved around a table. Peace that will be obtained around a table. It's not going to be on the battlefield. And that's the government you have today. And that's what I'm talking about. So you have to start with a leader with a vision. And the good news is most of the people who are seeking to replace Mr. Biya, at least a few of them, are fully conscious of the fact that if you don't resolve that problem in the Northwest and the Southwest, if you don't resolve it, there's absolutely nowhere Cameroon is going to take off as an economic power in Central Africa. No way. So that's where rebuilding our economy has to start. And it has to be done through negotiations, through political concessions. We have to sit around a table and talk. So all of them, Mr. Chiroma, even Cabral Libi, not to talk of Akeremuna and Ateki and Joshua Osi, all of them have a plan on addressing that problem. It has to be addressed. Otherwise, all of Cameroon will continue to pay the price. The problems in the north have to be addressed. You cannot continue to abandon a part of the country as that part has been abandoned, that allowed Boko Haram to come in and give a few dollars and recruit Cameroonians. Boko Haram in the north of Cameroon is Cameroonians who are fueling it, not Nigerians. So, and the reason is the religious sect of Boko Haram from Nigeria, they've come in with a few dollars and convinced people in one of the poorest parts of our country. Why should the North be so poor with all the natural wealth we can find in the North if we were organized? That's part of the problem. So we need a leader with a vision that begins to address the various sectors of our economy that need addressing. We need to determine how we exploit the natural resources we have. Everything from gold to diamond in the subsoil, oil, everything from our agricultural potential to becoming an agro-industrial economy, everything from the sites, the touristic sites that we have in our country. I have come to Cameroon with African Americans who determined through the DNA process that they were from Cameroon, their ancestors were from Cameroon. I call them the Camericans. I have brought Camericans to Cameroon, but I had to stop. I was, working with my friend Aveline Ava and Chris Ava and a number of, close friends. We put in place a program that by now should have brought over 1 million African Americans of Cameroonian origin, Camericans, to Cameroon. You know who stopped the process? Cameroonians who said, until I see my share of it. They thought we had money. They thought these Americans were paying us. So if give me my share, otherwise I will block and they did. 2 years later, we just could not go on. But these people came, and the reason I mentioned them is how amazed they were when they went to the north and saw the Kapsikis in the north. For Cameroonians who've not been there, it's like the part of our country that looks like the lunar surface. When they went to Fumban, when they went to the northwest and saw, Lake Nyos and the Menchum Falls, and when they went to Kribi, when they traveled around the country, and they said, my goodness, we have to come back here. We'll help develop these touristic sites. There's so much in Cameroon. Our touristic wealth can keep our economy going. I asked Mr. Biya when I was still in Cameroon. I said, Mr. President, when are we going to move away from oil and just focus on tourism, which can transform our country? And this was before you were born, my dear Delhi. The answer was, well, I'll give instructions, he said. Of course, those instructions were never given. So we can develop tourism, we can develop agriculture, we can develop the forestry, We have the second largest rainforest. We are part of the second largest rainforest in the world after the Amazon, the Central African rainforest. And yet we do not have a wood industry. That alone can sustain Cameroon. If we developed our tourism, the forest sector, we would have to build the right schools, attract the right technologies, put enough resources into that sector. Our banks should, our entrepreneurs, people with the entrepreneurial spirit should be able to have access to capital to develop wood-based products. We've not even begun to do that. It's young, it's the president's son, Frank, who exploits our forests and puts nothing back. That's why I say it's almost a crime what this leadership is doing to the country. And and for them to stand up and say they want another term, I wish I could say yes to that, but I wouldn't, because it's the wrong thing to do. And I have a lot of my friends in government. I apologize to them for saying what I'm saying, because they're my friends, and you stand by your friends. But you can't stand by friends who are part of an effort to destroy the country, the only country God gave you. So I can't stand by them in this one. So those of them who think they would condemn me, they would criticize me, they would do even harm to me, I want to tell them, I have no fear. I will continue doing what I have to do, because that country deserves better than you're giving it.
Cameroon indeed deserves better than we're doing. And I mean, I'm happy that you're speaking to the minds of every other person. They're listening. Hopefully, we get the desirable change that we want. Daddy, let's talk about what directly pertains to you. Before I come to this question that has been burning in my heart, let's touch on media. We've watched you on TV climb up to this level. Right now, you are, I would say, an authority as far as the media in Africa is concerned, and beyond. You recently started off this C4C, correct me if I'm right, galvanizing journalists, putting them together. To what extent has that particular walk, movement, whatever we call it,
Project
to what
Biya.
extent has it impacted? Yes, has it impacted these elections, this everything that is happening at this point in time?
Well, yes, Project C kind of, emerged almost without, it wasn't planned. It just happened, and it grew organically. And I realized one day that somehow this idea had attracted some amazing Cameroonians. There are a number of us involved now. Some of you may know Are Obenson, may know Elizabeth Muna, may know Alam Tita, may know Mike Senze, may know some of you are Judith Mwana, and the one name that I will not mention, I'll mention his first name, well, maybe not, but someone who works with us very closely, another Cameroonian. But this is an amazing group of people. Herman, another one, an amazing group of people that just came together, again, as I say, organically. But we started off, as I explained earlier, we started off because at one point in time, I noticed the media wasn't doing its work in Cameroon. And when I dug deep into that problem, I came to understand, because everybody told me, that the media has, because of the lack of resources, journalists have to be paid for whatever or anything they're doing. So they go to where covering a story they'd have to be paid for covering a story. So they didn't cover the story to inform the public. They didn't cover a story that deserved coverage so that they could educate the public. So the most fundamental duties of media, the most fundamental responsibilities of media were not being met. Because if you didn't pay, you had to pay to play. If you didn't pay, you were not covered. And what deserved coverage may not be done because there was no money. That's what I was told. That's what I came to find out. So we had a certain type of journalism had emerged. Paid journalism, where the journalists had to look first at what would bring them some pecuniary benefits before they looked at what the story really, how it would play out in the public. I was shocked when I finally had to admit to myself that our journalism was being driven by the need of journalists for survival. Pathetic. And until we fix that problem, media in Cameroon is not going to play its role as an instrument of democratic governance. It's not going to play that role. So we'll come back to it. It's one of the reasons I'm hoping there'll be change in our government so that we can put that, we cannot have a vibrant democracy if we do not invest in the media. And I'm not talking about investing, there's private media. But even private media doesn't work because we're not in the mode for creating and building capital through the media. So we have a huge problem. We'll get to that at some point. But I realized this in the lead up to the elections, and I was wondering, what do we do? How can we fix this? How quickly can we fix this? And it is that question which led me to go back to the United States and said, maybe the diaspora can come into the picture here. So I reached out to a number of diaspora people, and I must mention him here, a good brother and friend, Mundi Fomukong. Remember that name, Mundi Fomukong. Mundi instantly said, look, Eric, it seems to me what you need is to raise some money for these journalists so that they can do their work. He said that. We were having dinner in his house in Beverly Hills. And by the way, he lives next to this movie actor, Tom, what's his name? Not Tom. Huh? Not Tom, not Hanks. I keep forgetting that young man's name. Anyway, one of the major movie actors in Hollywood. Mundi lives next to him. I just say that. But he came up with that idea. Said, let's figure out how we can raise some money. And that's where Project C started. And we came to realize, oh my God, not only can we build the bridge between the diaspora and home and Cameroon in a meaningful way, we can now identify problems that require resources, intellectual resources, financial resources, experiential resources. We can bring our experience to bear. We can bring our money, if we can, to bear. We can bring our ideas to bear. So we built, Project C, which stands for Project Cameroon, you can also call it Project Change, because we are also advocating for change. But, Project C now exists as a bridge to the home country, to bring everything from ideas to money to experience and so on. And that's what we're doing. So we will go forward. We identified the media as the first sector that we needed to get involved with, and it was urgent, and elections were coming up. We needed to help journalists, and so we put some money into that. We raised a bit of money. It's not a whole lot, I mean, we're asking people to since we're in England, and we're asking people to give £10, £20, £30. In the United States, it's $25, $50, $100, whatever. And we've been able to raise some money to get journalists working. Today, we have journalists up in the north working. We have journalists traveling who will be in the country, different parts of the country tomorrow, covering the elections. And we're not talking about a whole lot. We're talking about just enough money to pay their transport and maybe stay in a hotel for a night or two to cover the elections tomorrow. Those are the kinds of things Project C is doing now. And we will take that same approach and principle into other sectors of the economy as we go forward to see how we can, mobilize people, generate ideas, generate resources to take to Cameroon to address very specific problems. I don't know what we're going to identify as a problem tomorrow after the elections, but we'll do that. And that's how we intend to go forward.
So, Janine, I mean, I'm happy that this is an aspect and a project that is particularly dear to your heart. And one of the legacies you get to leave here, and which other persons to benefit first than the media, that you have so invested your heart into. And I'm happy that I'm part of that. And most likely, of course, I'm always part of what concerns you, Daddy. And so we're looking at it doesn't just end now, just so we know it continues.
Yeah.
I like to think
Yes.
yes. It can only get better. And I'm happy that you are, imprinting, stamping your authority, writing your signature on the pages of the media every day. It does not end there. I mean, thank you so much. And on behalf of every media person, every media, thank you so much, Daddy, for that. Just about time for me to answer that question that is boiling in my heart. I think I speak the minds of so many Cameroonians listening to us. Yes, you've been called in the media, but hey, we have so many people who have the opinion that you are the president of Cameroon that never was. Do you agree? To what extent would you agree to this statement that I've just made? And is there a time that you gravitated towards this statement? Is there a reason why you never looked at politics like you should have, or invested some energy into it? Would love to hear that. I would love to hear for the rest of the world.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll, let me answer that. It's a good but very simple question as far as I'm concerned. I am honored and flattered by the question, but the fact is, I believe that it takes for a certain quality of person to be a politician. That's why when you put the spotlight on a politician, you almost always never like what you see. That's why the spotlight has now settled on Issa Chiroma and everybody's complaining. If the only reason we're not complaining about Mr. Biya, as a politician, is because he's president and we're afraid. But take him out of that and put the spotlight on him, and you'll find enough reasons to complain, because we're all human. We're all human. And if you can't stand the heat, don't go into the kitchen. So maybe I couldn't stand the heat of politics, but I've always believed that I will be more effective. I've always believed that. I'll be more effective as an advisor to people in leadership. And that has been the case in country after country in Africa. I have advised the president of Botswana. I have advised the president of South Sudan. I have advised the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo, called Zaire at the time, Mr. Mobutu. I have advised Ellen Sirleaf of Liberia. So I can go on and on about these leaders I have spoken with, advised, and played that role. And I continue to believe that that's the role that God made for me. And I have never thought, standing out to lead the country and campaign as a politician As a politician, I've never thought it's part of my DNA or part of what the good Lord wanted for me on this earth, you know.
For speaking.
I don't know if that
Yeah.
answers your question, but that's where I am.
You did, you did. I mean, we want what we want, but again, I mean, because we're looking at it from a good leader. Yeah, the qualities of a good leader. I mean, not just being a politician. We want a leader, and so you have a vote of confidence. That's why we think in this light. You've advised all of these
Well, you
people and
know,
privileged
Delhi,
to
the
us.
fact is,
So
Delhi, I do something
yes,
most politicians don't do. I tell the truth. I live with my truth. I cannot break away from it. You know, so if I come and I say I support Issa Chiroma, it's because fundamentally I believe in what I'm saying. And I was really happy to hear Success in Congo pretty much say the same thing for somebody who knows that man. You know, I live with my truth, and that's not for politics most times.
heartfelt one there.
Yeah.
Thank you again, Dandy, for this. We have loads of commenters here. Interesting comments. And also, babes, sister, I see you. You can be anything podcast. She says that advisory is a bigger role than president. I love that comment. Advisory is a bigger role than president. And Doc
Mhm.
Michael is saying, thank you so much, Mommy Debbie, for the program. Thank you, Mr. Eric, for your words. We will cast our votes for Issa Chiroma. He may not be the perfect choice for everyone, or he may be the best, but one thing is certain, we need change. I love that comment. It's coming from, Andong I said, Andong Michael. Abuno Robson says, because if we are voting, okay, let me take it from start. Mr. Eric, I think the questions are beginning to come in. Producer, I would love for you to put the number on the screen so they can call in. We still have a few more minutes to go. That is patient enough to take this. But before we get to that, let me just read some of the comments here. Abuno Robson says, Mr. Eric, is lovely to get an insight. I think it's lovely to get an insight on what you think about Cameroon today and the current election. It is an undeniable truth that we as a nation are in dire need of change, but we don't have we don't have to be oblivious of the fact that change goes both ways. It can be good, it can be south. As things currently stand in Cameroon, Cameroon is next to hell. And if this change we so seek for doesn't steer us to the right direction, we are literally going to be living in hell. So my question to you is, to the best of my knowledge, you've endorsed Chiruma. Um, did you endorse him because you saw the entire nation rallying behind him, or did you endorse him because you believe in what he presented in his manifesto? And if that's the letter is true, can you share with us, the Cameroon people, three of his key policies that you think will steer us into the promised land? Thank you. I believe you got the question. Nodding your head, I believe you got the question. I don't know if
I do.
you can take
Yeah.
that now.
Yes. Let me take it. You know, it's an amazing question because he
Let me
really.
just round up, Daddy. Just let me just round up his question. He says, because if we are voting tomorrow, we have to get it right. Because if we get it wrong, I pray God helps us. That's quite
Wow.
intense there from Abu Robson Airport, and that is here to answer your question. So yes, it's the mic is yours, Daddy.
Oh, great question, actually, you know, and quite profound. And, you know, uh, I'm glad he's giving me the opportunity to address this. Two things. One is, as I said, I did not set out to endorse Issa Chiroma. I did not. I said
Yeah.
what I said about him, which was true, which most people don't know about the man. And then, of course, some people took what I said as an endorsement of his candidacy. There was a time I've endorsed him today. So there's been a long, you know, at least 2 weeks spread between what I said about him and my endorsing him today. Now, in the meantime, I've looked at what he stands for. I've had discussions with him. He stands for, almost the first thing he stands for is national reconciliation. We need to have Cameroonians reconcile with each other. National reconciliation stands at the top of his agenda. It stands at the top of my agenda. And if I had to advise Mr. Chiroma, and I will insist on advising him and making sure he respects what this commitment, at the top of that agenda is national reconciliation. The second thing on his agenda, the second, is a national conference to rethink Cameroon, rethink our institutions, rethink the constitution. There are critical things that need to be thought and put out differently. I'll give a couple of examples. One, we need to rethink our electoral system. We need, for example, to elect a president in 2 rounds of, to elect a president, so that any president we elect has at least 51% of Cameroonians voting for him. Any or for her. We need to reduce the terms of a government. We can't have 14 years, that's almost a full generation. When it can take 3 years, 4 years, or 5 to begin to lay the foundations of any program. And if you're doing a good job at that, you can be given another 5 years to come to take it to the level of completion. So we need to rethink our constitution. And Mr. Issa Chiroma is committed to that. And the third thing, just as importantly, is to lay the basis of a new Cameroon. You cannot do it by going from the state of governance now into a new form of governance without a break. So he's agreed to be that transitional leader that he should be. So before we go into the Third Republic, we would have had the time to sit back and completely reorganize the state, rethink our approach to governance, and allow Cameroonians, level the playing field, and allow Cameroonians to finally elect somebody based on a program of growth and development. That's what we're going to need. That is why this time around, there have been no debates on the quality of programs that people stand for. We've not had any real debate about that. Even when we tried as Project C to pay for a debate amongst the candidates, we were told, oh, no, you can't do that. We were working on organizing a debate on the programs, and I had to admit to myself that no, the concern is not about the quality of programs for the development of this country. Right now, it's about the institutions. Right now, it's about leveling the political playing field. Right now, it's about getting the country working together again. And then we can start talking about what programs do you propose to rebuild the economy? What programs do you propose to get our educational system back to where it used to be? What programs do you propose to improve on the quality of health? What programs do you propose to get our agriculture producing for us again and reducing the imports of rice, things we can produce and export to the world? What programs do you have for improving on electricity and potable water and so on? We didn't do it. We didn't have any of those discussions in this election. None. Because the country doesn't allow for that. That's not what would allow us to choose the next president. So when Mr. Issa Chiroma agreed to the idea of a transition to fix this country so that we can now elect a new president after his 3 to 5 years in office, and he will not be a candidate, then people like Iyodi, young man with great ideas, Ateki, another young person with wonderful ideas, talk to them. You'd be excited. You'd be wondering why these guys are not in office. But they cannot be under the current circumstances. They cannot. So yes, we need somebody to clean the house. There's too much dirt. Let's bring in somebody to clean it, reestablish the rules of the trade, and then we go into elections. So that's why I'm supporting Mr. Chiroma. I hope I've told you the 3 or 4 things on his agenda that I totally support, and that's the reason I am endorsing him today on this program.
So much, and thank you, Betty, for that. I guess he's been listening, and he's had his question properly answered. We have more questions coming in. I think just about that time when we get the lines open. So if you have a question for Mr. Eric Chinje, our father in the house, a major stakeholder, I'm looking at the time, it's closing down. I'm looking at, we're still getting to midnight, and that's 12, and that's that history moment. So please do not take these questions away, okay? Please, you can call in with the number, through the number. If you do not want to call in, you can text as well. We'll still get it through and read it out, just so we are not the only ones asking these questions to him. Celestine Doe says that, I think this is a question from Celestine Doe, I'm hoping. He says, we need change in Cameroon. I'm just waiting for Daddy to get his people set up so we can get the question. I don't know if this is a question or it's a comment coming from Celestine Doe. I'm just going to read it. I guess by the end of it, I will have it. Are we good, Daddy?
Yes, I'm trying to. Oh yes, I got it finally. I was trying to put it on charge, so it is now. Yes.
I get you. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, we have Celestine Doe. So, like I said, I'm not sure if it's a comment or a question. Let me just read it. It's quite lengthy. He said, we need change in Cameroon. And he spells it with the Cameroon with an O-U-N, if you understand what that means. However, it can't come through elections as long as Mr. Biya and his team has captured the judiciary, legislative, and electoral. Election is not an event, but a process. We can't be talking about elections when the executive, in brackets, Mr. Biya, controls the Parliament, Constitutional Council, Senate, and electoral. I strongly believe all the other candidates are just helping to legitimize the continuous theft of Mr. Biya as long as he controls the other arms of government. Our starting point must be an independent judiciary, legislative, and electoral. If not, we should not be talking about the elections. We must fix this first. Clearly, that's just a comment. I don't know if you want to comment on that, because you touched on this at the start. If there's maybe an addition to what you said, then lines are open. And then, yes, we're taking the course. Thank you.
Yes, of course, I agree largely with the sentiment expressed in that comment. I said at the beginning that, you remember, I said when I was asked to say something about Mr. Biya that folks don't know, I said he is one of the least corrupt leaders in Africa who has somehow figured out how to lead the most corrupt country on the continent, one of the most corrupt countries on the continent. And that is true about the man. And the other thing I can say here is Mr. Biya long gave up on providing leadership in Cameroon. That explains, for example, why he's hardly met in the last 2 decades maybe, or close to that, with his government, with his ministers. You cannot lead a group of people, and you cannot be the general of going into war, the war of development. You're a general, and you have your lieutenants and your captains behind you, and you don't constantly see what they're doing and give direction to what they're doing. Mr. Biya doesn't do that. We know he doesn't have cabinet meetings, and even in the last 2 decades, even when he had those meetings, he just essentially came, read instructions, and left. So we've had a president we should never have had, unfortunately. That's been part of the problem. So please, anybody, Mr. Pearson, I like him personally, and I keep saying that. But he's not the leader for Cameroon. And proof of it, he spends more, whenever he has any break in his time, he goes to Geneva. He's not been to Ngolomeduka. He's not been to Edea. He's not been even to Kribi. He's not been to, he's not been to Limbe. He's not been to Kumba. He's not been to Bafoussam. Well, whatever, around there. In 40 years, I think he's been to Bafoussam once. He's not been to Konsamba as president. He's not been to Mokolo as president. He's not been to Gidea as president. So the man doesn't really, is not Cameroonian enough in my view. This is the truth. So anybody who's waking up tomorrow morning to go and vote for Mr. Biya is not voting for president. And for all the reasons I know, and you all know, he is not in a position to lead that country. Not at 93, not at 80 when he was 80 years old, not at 70 when he was 70 years old, certainly not at 93. Biya is not the man for Cameroon. Let's say that to the hearing of everybody, please. He's not the leader for Cameroon, and certainly not the leader. If he was with all the technologies we have, he could have even run the country from his bed, since that's where he spends most of his time now. You know how? By using WhatsApp, by using Zoom, by using any of the technologies that exist, and talk to his ministers and find out what they're doing and understand where the weaknesses are. And, those ministers will sit up if they thought the president was aware and watching. They're not sitting up. It takes for Mr. Mbangangele to drive to Limbe to realize, oh my God, the roads are bad. And then he complains about the Minister of Transport or the Minister of Public Works. What country are we living in? And then the same fellows wake up in the morning and say, go vote for Mr. Biya, and then they're buying the votes. This is, honestly, I hope we don't have to force them out. I hope they'll recognize how much they've failed and allow us to put this country back on track. And it will involve them. You cannot replace the experience of a John Gute or of a Paul Elum or of, some of these guys are very, very good. Etuningwa, the Minister of Primary Education. Great guy, great ideas. You cannot replace them. We'll need them in the new Cameroon. Not all of them, but we'll need many of them in the new Cameroon. So let's say goodbye to Mr. Biya in the most decent way we can, but certainly not bring him back into office.
Mr. Dor Celestine, I hope you got that. Let's say goodbye to Mr. Biya in the most decent way we can, but certainly not bring him back into office. I hope that you got that right. All we need, Maria Zani saying, all we need is change. Even a Christman, wow, we need to change. Right. So guys, the lines are open now.
Well, the Bishop of Yagua said we'll have a devil if we have to, but let him be our devil. Rebecca Enonchong said, yeah, if you think Mr. Chiroma is a bandit, well, he's our bandit. Let's bring him in. So it looks to me and proof that Cameroonians think differently about leadership. When you had 83 people, 83 applied to be president, 83, it's because 83 people thought, every one of them thought they could replace the man who's there. So they don't think very highly of him. They do not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Celestine says that, with due respect, sir, Mr. Biya is incompetent. I mean, Mr. Celestine, I'd like to think that he did expressly say that, okay? I hope you're listening while you're writing or, trying to comment. So, yes, please, if the lines are open, like I said. If you have a question, please do call in. As it is, we've got barely a few minutes to go. You can call now. I think the number is displayed on the screen. You can call, well, directly or through WhatsApp. It's all fine. Let's have you express your thoughts as far as these elections are concerned. But while we're doing that, Daddy, we're about to vote. It's in few minutes, hours. Yeah, we're counting down.
Mm-hmm.
Cameroonians listening to you would love to have your final word as far as the elections are concerned. If you speak to them in this language that they understand, and from a heart of a father to that of your children, what is happening tomorrow, the significance of it, the importance of it, why it should all be marching towards every polling station to cast their vote for the change that we need in Cameroon.
Yeah. Let me say this. As you go to vote, for those who will go to vote, please vote meaningfully. In French, we'll say, il faut voter utile. Let your vote have meaning. Vote for change. Vote, if you want change, you can be from the CPDM, you can be from the MRC, you could be from SDF, from any of these parties, the PCRN. You have the choice. You can vote for a candidate who has no path to victory. And right now, I think almost none of the candidates, except the two up in the north, have a path to victory. Iyodi doesn't have a path to victory. Cabral Libi doesn't have a path to victory. Joshua Osi, my friend and brother, great mind, great legislator, the Honorable Osi, but he doesn't have a path to victory. So, Madame Damjoya, no path to victory. So you can vote for them if you want, but it's a wasted vote. Or you can vote for a candidate that has a path to victory. So I want you to think about that. Voter utile, as they say in French. Let your vote be meaningful. Let it count. The second thing, vote your answer to the only question that matters now. Are you for change or not? Are you for the status quo or you want something different? It's one or the other. You can't have both. You're either for things as they are. If you're happy with things as they are, then vote CPDM. If you're unhappy with things as they are, vote for change. And when you go into voting for change, please vote utile. Vote meaningfully. That's the second thing I want to say. If you want change, vote meaningfully. It doesn't have to be for your leader. It doesn't have to be if you are with the PCRN. You must not. It doesn't have to. You don't forcibly have to vote for the leader of that party. Vote for somebody you think can, throw out the bomb. Well, throw out the CPDM. That's my second point. And my third point would be to emphasize the fact that in all of our history, this is the first time we will be voting to freely choose the person who will lead the country. Think about the historic nature of our elections tomorrow. The very first time in all of history, colonial, post-colonial, pre-colonial, you name it, in all of our history, it'll be the first time we have a chance to elect somebody that we want to do the work we want him to do. The French imposed Ahidjo. The French sent Biya to Ahidjo, and they took power, and for 22 plus years, Ahidjo kept winning with the help, that's the way it was meant. For 40 plus years, Mr. Biya kept winning, changing the constitution, playing around with it whenever he wanted to. We want somebody who will come and rethink all of that. Give us a constitution we can all agree to and live by. Give us a constitution that allows us to choose the leader we want and make sure that the leader we choose presents the quality of programs, presents an agenda that can transform Cameroon. That is where we are. So these are the three things I would like to say before we close this meeting. And of course, somebody said, when the sun, it's my friend Ayuk Are Benson, when the sun rises over Cameroon on Monday, it should be said that we've entered a new dawn for a new Cameroon, a new beginning. When the sun rises on Monday.
Wow. When the sun rises on Monday, it should be said that we've entered a new dawn. This is the cry
Yes.
and the desire of every Cameroonian listening to us right
Yes.
now. We talked of calling in. Most people are rather texting, okay, which is still fine. We have barely few minutes to go, so I'm sorry that we might not be able to cover everything. Let me take this question from Abuno Airport. Abuno Airport is saying that Mr. Eric, once more, thank you so much for what you have been doing. Mr. Eric, okay, I think he kind of edited his comment there. Let me take it back. Mr. Eric, once more, thank you for what you have been doing so far, and believe me, you've been brilliant with your responses. It's lovely to see that you guys have put Project C in action, just to make sure that we get the correct results as projected by the Cameroonian people. It won't be a myth if I say this current government can do the most unthinkable stuff to stay in power. What measures would you advise Chiroma to take if the statistics of Project C shows he won and it goes contrary to that of Elecam? Do you think the institution in place will be just to declare and defend the right decision?
Yeah, again, a good question, and I hope the answer should speak to every single Cameroonian voter, the 8 million people. One, vote massively. Please do that. Two, it should not depend on Mr. Chiroma alone. It should depend on all of us. If we do the right thing, we vote massively, we should stand by that vote. And if Mr. Chiroma wins, and we expect him to win massively, because I think a lot of Cameroonians are for change, let us make it clear. I am making it clear to all of them, to that machinery of the CPDM. We will not accept your intimidation. We will not accept your manipulation. We will not accept any attempts to rig the votes. Let me say that. And if enough of us say that, it will happen. It all starts with us all thinking it, expressing it, and acting on it. And I hope that's what will happen after tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you. We have a caller here. Let me just start playing. I hope that we can hear him. think Mr. Biya going to be on speaker. Good evening, sir. Thank you so much. You're welcome to the show. Thank you so much. Yeah, can we have your question, please? All right. So much, sir. He's obviously listening and will be answering shortly. Daddy, you heard him clear. I like to think
Oh, I
so.
didn't hear a word. I didn't hear a word.
You didn't hear him?
No. I thought you were listening, and then you'll tell me what he wanted to know.
Oh my God. I wish I would have to summarize because I love that you're here. Technical crew, you would have to do something so we get the calls in because there could loads of calls coming in now. So I don't want to summarize it. I'd love for you to hear his concerns directly. Sadly,
Mm.
my technical crew would have to do this. I thought you could hear us.
No, I couldn't hear a word of what you were saying. I thought you were listening, and then you'll, you know.
Okay, so I don't know if you would want me to repeat what he has said,
Just
but
give
if
me a
I
chance.
could get to summarize what he said, he comes from the Southwest region, and the major concern is not even about the CPDM per se, it's about the people in the suburbs who do not have access to quality information like we having, and they're okay to sell their consciences for as little as a bottle of beer. And while they try to talk them out of that mindset, what they do is, oh, the opposition has not done anything for us. So the CPDM, if we can have a glass of rice, that is far better than the nothing we're getting from the other hand. How do people like him, who is trying to convince them to believe in this system that you and a lot of others are setting up? How do they break through that barrier? and get these people's minds, especially as far as tomorrow is concerned?
Excellent question. Delhi, there's something they call the curse of development. The curse of development. What that curse is lies in the fact that the same people you're trying to help are the ones who are least prepared to understand what you're trying to do for them. That's the challenge of development, and I honestly don't have an answer to it. But we always hope that those who are in a position to understand and who have, we all have family in rural areas, for example. We all do. If we care enough for our folks in the rural areas, those of us who are in a position to understand how these mechanisms work will help those people, because by improving on the overall circumstances of our countries, by improving on that from the capital down, we will be helping to improve on the quality of life of the people in the rural communities. That is what development, that's how it happens. It's not the poorest and the least, the remotest, the people who live in the remotest areas who give that impulse to development. It's not them. It's the rest of us. And if the rest of us cannot take our responsibilities and reach out to those people, development doesn't happen. It's not a miracle. Miracles do happen. And I'm hoping that there will be a miracle tomorrow. Because if there's a miracle in, whatever it is that would bring new leadership in Cameroon, it will allow us now to start doing the things that would take development all the way down. We will start building schools, not shelters or schools under trees, as in the north. We'll build the schools where children can go and study. And in those remote areas, we would, people who've learned something will emerge from those areas and may hopefully give back to those areas. There are no two ways to it. So we must, it all has to come through improved governance. And we cannot improve on governance if we don't have people committed to governing Cameroon. I will never behave the way Mr. Biya and his clique continue to behave. Never. Look, the bottles of champagne that the president's daughter and her friends would hire a plane to fly in and drink, that could build a decent school in at least one community. And this young lady, whom I really have a lot of respect for, Brenda, she's not alone. She does what she does because the environment allows for that. I know my friends, ministers, who you go into their offices, they'll give you petrol, I think they call them bongs, for 500,000 francs. I've known that. I've known somebody go into the office of a minister and comes out with 500,000 francs worth of fuel vouchers. How do you explain that in a normal society? There are all of these things that we should just say no to and try to help our country find its way back to development. There are too many of these things to complain about. So let's not complain. Let's act. Let's think. Let's say it, and let's act it.
All is well that ends well. I'd like to think that we've actually come to the end of this. Final words from Daddy Chinje there. He said that there's such a thing as the curse of development. And I hope my brother got that. We're the same people that you are trying to, transform, help, are rather the ones who are stuck in the status quo and insisting on it. It's a whole lot that we've learned today. I want to thank you so much, my Zaddy, for gracing our platform, always honoring our invitation each time we call.
Yeah.
It's such an honor. I mean, as many times as you would want to come, our doors are always open. We would love to have you in the studio. I'm here, Telly TV Studios. I mean, you were here to open these doors for us. And yes, we want to tell you that we're doing just, I mean, as you had blessed us, we're doing just amazing. Thank you so much, viewers. Thank you so much for staying up to this moment. We're sorry that we could not take calls after coming in, sadly. We can't take it because normally we were supposed to have this for maximum 1 hour, 30 minutes. The conversation is very interesting and you had to extend it. But hopefully, we'll have more times to sit down again and talk to Daddy. I want to salute every media outlet who has taken our time to put out what is very important in this season for Cameroonians. And this is us as a TV platform appealing to you all to make the change, the rightful change that we deserve as a people, as a nation. And yes, thank you so much. Yeah, Daddy, oh, look at that. Can you bring my daddy back on screen? I love that. That is more important than the closing remark I was giving on here. So that picture was taken in the studio. That was the day of the launch, 21st of June 2025. History was made and we immortalized that day. And I'm grateful to my daddy. Look at that he actually was the one who opened those doors. Look at those images, and he blessed Telly TV. We're happy that we've kickstarted, and hey, we've not started. We've not had the best of us yet. We're getting there. But thank you so much for blessing this platform, and we are so humbled and honored. That you have all of those pictures. I need to get back to you to send some of them to me. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for staying up through this moment. Again, I would say go out tomorrow and make history. Do the right thing for the needed, much needed change in our beloved country, Cameroon. Please do not go without subscribing to our YouTube channel, social media handles, or whatnot. Again, these will be rebroadcasted for those of you who missed out on it, so you can catch up on it. On Mimi Mefo platform as well, I think this is streamed on there. Okay, and thank you so much, and God bless Cameroon. See you all again next time. I love you all. This has been your intentional host, Singah. Goodbye.
Journey in the Daily Singah Show, where stories come alive, voices strong and clear, reaching for the sky. From the motherland to every distant shore, bridging gaps and building bridges, opening every door, connecting hearts and minds, a tapestry so bright, igniting conversation, shining truth and light. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite, feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, culture in full bloom. The Daily Singah Show, chasing away the gloom. everything feels right. From the heart of Africa to the stars above, spreading joy and unity, let the world feel love. In the pulse of the city, the spirit intertwines. Every step we take is like poetry and rhyme. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite. Feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, culture in full bloom. The Delhi Singah Show, chasing away the gloom. Heal the wounds, inspire the dreams, unite us as one. Underneath the African sun, our journey's just begun. Let the stories flow like rivers, strong and deep and wide, carrying love and hope on every rising tide. Sing it loud, sing it proud, the African soul ignite. Feel the beat, move your feet, everything's gonna be alright. Relationships, identity, culture in full bloom. The Delhi Singah Show, chasing away the gloom. Ooh, feel the energy flowing free and strong. The Delhi Singah Show, where we all belong. Let the rhythm fill the air, join the vibrant throng. Delhi Singah Show, where we all belong.